Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 32, Jailbreak Possibilities. Well, welcome once again to the iPad Possibilities Podcast. And before we get started, I'd like to thank the application developers of the It's On My Way app, available in the App Store for $2.99. And with that app, quickly go from point A to point B to point C and just find the quickest way to plan out your errands for the afternoon. So grab it today for $2.99. Before we get started with this episode, I've got a couple of different announcements that are pretty exciting, I think, for everyone to know about. First off, I did successfully complete the conversion of all the audio, all 30 episodes for both the podcast app and the regular iTunes feed as well as the premium feed. I've completed all of the tasks involved with converting all of that audio into a much higher quality mono audio, so it should be perfect for everyone to listen to. There shouldn't be any artifacts in the sound. It should be all great, and I'm glad that it did take a lot of time to get that up and running, but it's all switched over. And if you go back and download the shows again, they should sound much better. So if you want to take the time to do that and listen to some of your favorite episodes, you can do that, and they'll be much better sounding this time around. As a result of that, the file size are going to be quite a bit bigger, so you might not be able to do that over the 3G anymore if you're trying to do that through the iTunes app in the iPhone, and because of that, you'll have to do that through the podcast app now. So that is one change. The file sizes will be bigger, but I hope you appreciate the better sounding audio now. So that's the first announcement. And then secondly, the iPad Possibilities Podcast Premium Podcast is now only $2 a month. I've been reconsidering the pricing and how I'm going to do this all, but it's going to be only $2 a month. And we're doing $3.50 a month if you want access to the entire Possibilities network of shows we have there. But I decided to go down to $2 to make it as affordable as possible for anyone to support this show and also gain access to all of the extra benefits that you get from being a premium member. So it's only $2 a month. I think everyone can afford that. I think anyone that wants to support the show can do that for just $2 a month. And you can do that right at the possibilitiesnetwork.com. And it's up and running now. We've got some extra bonus. We've got the HD bonus video there. And we'll be adding extra shows and extra content there via the premium feed, as well as getting the shows early Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So check it out there. And that kind of concludes the announcements that I wanted to get out of the way with. Very exciting announcements. But on to the main content of this show, and that is the jailbreak. Right? We were actually discussing on Sunday night's show about the jailbreak that was rumored to be released. And crazy as it was, within a few minutes after we finished recording on Sunday night, I saw on one of my favorite websites, modmyi.com, that the jailbreak is actually out. So just after we finished, the jailbreak was released, and that very night I installed the jailbreak on my iPad 3G, and today I'm just going to share with you the very first version of the jailbreak, what you can do with that jailbreak, what possibilities does it bring to the iPad now that we have this jailbreak, now that we can unleash the full potential of the hardware and really take advantage of it all. So I'm going to go into how you do it and all the different things surrounding that. So first off, what is a jailbreak for those that aren't uber tech geeks and all that? Well, a jailbreak is when you basically take all the restrictions off of your iPad that Apple instows upon it. So you'll be able to do things that Apple frowns upon, things that AT&T may frown upon, and really unleash the full potential of your iPad. And the jailbreak allows you to install apps that you can't get in the App Store. It allows you to do things that were previously unavailable. So that's kind of what it is. Now how you do it. I would recommend going to the site modmyi.com. That's a site I really enjoy. It gives you all kinds of different information on how to modify your iPhones, your iPod Touches, and your iPads. And you'll find there information on what they call the Spirit jailbreak. And this is a new type of jailbreak. It's one of the easiest I've ever done. There have been a few like this in the past, but this one I think was the best. It actually finished the jailbreak. I was up and running within 30 seconds of doing this jailbreak. You simply download this application to your Mac. It does require a Mac to my knowledge. They may have some Windows versions out already, but I did this on my Mac Mini running Snow Leopard, and it worked really well. It's an Intel Mac, obviously, since it's Snow Leopard. You just hit the jailbreak button, and it's done within 30 seconds, and you're up and running with Cydia installed, and you're ready to start enhancing your iPad in ways that you weren't able to in the past. So that's kind of what it is and how you do it. And I'll get right into what you can now do with your iPad and the possibilities and potential that is now available to it. So first off, I had some quick findings I wanted to talk about. I did this on the 3G iPad, and there were some hidden apps that aren't shown on the main screen. One is called Demo App, and the second was called Data Activation App. So there's actually an app that is on the iPad 3G that's used to activate your iPad. So those were kind of interesting findings that I thought I should let everyone know about. And now I'd want to talk about simply why you'd want to jailbreak your iPad right now. Because right now it is a very beginning state. A lot of the applications have not been updated to be optimized for the iPad. And that was very apparent in my testing of the iPad jailbroken, right? So why do this? Why would you want to do this? First off, you're able to enable voice control like you can on the iPhone 3GS. So I was able to do this pretty easily. It took you can find the information there on Mod by Eye. But what this enables you to do is enable voice control. So you're able to, basically the main feature of this right now is searching your iPod and playing. So you can just say, play John Coltrane, and it'll start playing John Coltrane. You can say, play a certain album or song, and it'll search your whole iPad for that song or artist, and it'll find it and start playing, and it's quite magical, if I say so myself. And it's I don't like using that term for this, but it's kind of cool. It looks beautiful. It doesn't look like a blown up version that's pixelated or anything from the iPhone, but it looks like it was intended to be there and could have been there if Apple enabled it, but it, for whatever reason, was not. The second reason I found to why you'd want to do this is you're able to recompile some of your apps and be more iPad native, that look better on your iPad. I've not really done this a bunch because I feel comfortable just doing the 2x button, but you're able to recompile apps, make them more iPad native by basically recompiling a plist, basically, is all you have to do. So that's the second reason. Now on to what I call the main reasons, the really awesome things that you get from jailbreaking your iPad. The first one is backgrounding. So you just download this app called Backgrounder. It's a free application, and this enables you to run applications in the background. And that means I'm now able to run like Pandora and my RSS player in the background, so I can be listening to that audio while, reading a book now. I'm not confined any longer to the iPod app to listen to music while doing other things. I'm able to record audio in the background with my Speakeasy app while looking at my Evernote to look at the show notes. So I'm able to do much more advanced things like record audio in the background, listen to music in the background, and have apps that I want running all the time in the background. And that is something that we'll be getting in 4.0, but currently it's not there. So for those that want that backgrounding, that multitasking, and I use backgrounding because that's more appropriate because currently it's not doing two things at once, it's more backgrounding. So you're able to background now. I guess the next reason is if you're a Google Voice user, there's a great app called GV Mobile, and this app works really well on the iPad now. It's a jailbroken app that you can get through Cydia, which is the kind of the app store of the jailbreak community. And GV Mobile is a great app I had on my iPhones and iPod Touches, and it works fantastically well on the iPad. So you're able to text messages out of there. You're able to call you're able to call make calls out of that and pick up using your Skype phone or whatever you use. But if you're a Google Voice owner, it's a really great reason to jailbreak. So you got that one as well. Another incredible possibility this jailbreak brings is VNC. Now, we've talked about VNC in the past, but we were talking about remoting into your Mac. Now we're switching the gears a little bit and doing something that Apple will never allow. I really don't believe they'll ever allow this, but VNCing into your iPad. So what this enables you to do is, say you're presenting and trying to demo some things off on the iPad, and you want to do that. Currently, the only way to do that is showing a video camera shining on top of the iPad, as I do with my shows right now. Now with VNC is what it's called, VEENCY. It's I believe it's been optimized for the iPad actually, and it'll enable you to basically have a computer up and running and broadcasting exactly what is on your screen at that time. So if you're doing iPad demos, this brings a great possibility to that. So you can actually do some very beautiful demos that don't involve putting a camera right in front of you, basically. So that's another great possibility that comes by having the iPad jailbroken. Now, here's some a couple other reasons why you'd want to do this right now, especially if you're an iPad 3G owner. So, as many people know, AT&T or Apple, or I'm not sure who does this, but there are some restrictions to the 3G and what applications you can use that with. You may have experienced this already with Skype, with ABC Player and all those kind of applications. The biggest one for me is Skype, but I've got an application that works really well on the iPad now that it's jailbroken called My3G. And what this application does is it enables you to select any application you want to get rid of the limits of the 3G restrictions, right? So I can now run Skype over 3G, and it works beautifully. And I'm able to download songs and podcasts over 20 megabytes in the iTunes store. I'm able to download movies in the iTunes store because that restriction is gone now. And I'm able to do other things that are restricted by the 3G. Now, I did have some findings, and these were very interesting. First off, the Netflix and the ABC app. Those apps both change when you're on 3G. And they change for good reason, I've found at least. Netflix I found to be very slow when I forced it to use the 3G app, making it believe it's Wi-Fi. It took several minutes to get up and running with the movie, and it was not as good of an experience, so I disabled that. And am much more comfortable with the lower bitrate video in Netflix because it was such a slow experience over 3G. So those complaining that, Apple or whatever's restricting Netflix is, I would have to say, go. That's great. Have Netflix restricted the way it is because it's a great experience having it a little bit lower bitrate, but having it load up fast and play that video in a good experience. The way it's done, if you unrestrict that, it's really slow and not a good experience at all, which was an unfortunate thing to find out. But that is the case. And with ABC, I found it not to work at all. Unfortunately, when I unrestrict the 3G, the app simply crashed. So I believe I've heard that ABC will be having an update come out that will enable 3G access, but I think that's going to be the way to go. You're going to have to wait for that update, and that it didn't really work that well over unrestricted 3G. The ABC app simply crashed. It did not work. So hopefully that gets fixed either through future jailbreak applications or ABC themselves. If you found other results that I perhaps have missed, please let me know, because I had terrible experiences with both of those apps with using My3G to get those up and running. But those are my findings with 3G unrestricting and all of those different scenarios. Now, the last reason I saw immediately right now as to why you would want to jailbreak an iPad. And this is for the iPad 3G folks. As many people know, the iPhone operating system has a tethering ability built into the operating system. There's an application called MiFi, which, as you've heard me talk about the MiFi, it basically turns your iPad into a MiFi. That means it shares your internet connection via a wireless signal to as many devices as you want to, not just 5. And it also enables you to do USB and Bluetooth tethers to your Mac or Windows machine. Now, this is pretty cool because if you want to use your main computer with your iPad 3G's data connection, you now can. Now, I don't see this as being as useful as it is on the iPhone, but I do see the MiFi app with the wireless implications of sharing that much more useful than the iPhone. Now, the reason I see this because the battery life of the iPad is significantly longer than the iPhone. The iPhone will die within an hour worth of sharing your connection, maybe even less. With the iPad, you can share that data connection much longer because the battery is so large. So that's kind of the final reason to jailbreak right now. I think we're at the beginning of something large, beginning of something huge. I've seen how the iPhones evolve through jailbroken apps, and I think that the jailbreak community will inspire Apple to do certain things. I know the jailbreak community inspired Apple to do the App Store, and inspired them to do all sorts of other things that weren't previously available on the iPhone. And the jailbreak community is sort of the test bed for Apple to enable all sorts of extra functionality. And they basically do a lot of hard work for Apple, and they do it really well. And the jailbreak community is a wonderful community that pushes Apple forward to expand the possibilities of their iPhones and iPads now. So I think the future possibilities will be quite great. So I had some thoughts as far as what may be coming down the road for those that jailbreak. Well, the first set of possibilities I see come from that of that USB dongle. I believe in the future, the iPad, through the jailbreak community, will expand support of that USB dongle to printers, to scanners, to webcams, to Wacom tablet styluses, and pretty much any USB device. I think the iPad jailbreak community will start to bring those possibilities to it. It'll begin to emerge. We'll begin to see some things we never saw coming to the iPad through the iPad jailbreaking community. So I think we'll have many other shows on the jailbreak. I know not everyone will jailbreak their iPads, but it will bring a certain functionality that you may desire. Much of that functionality will be covered in the 4.0 release. The only thing I am waiting for is a good Skype that runs over 3G, but and the 3G restrictions I'd like to see go away. But beyond that, we'll have backgrounding on the 4.0 iPad, and many other things. So the jailbreak right now, it may help many, it may help some. So I just wanted to give you my feedback, my thoughts as to the possibilities that are currently available right now to you if you jailbreak, and the possibilities that will come possibly later as the jailbreak community has a chance to develop apps, develop drivers, develop software for the iPad as it just came out, and I believe we'll see a great number of possibilities. So those are my findings, and I as you know, love feedback and would really appreciate that. Just send it to iPadpossibilities@gmail.com and 209-542-iPad, and send that feedback there. I'd love to hear your experiences jailbreaking your iPad. What are your favorite jailbreak apps? What has the jailbreak enabled for you that you've been longing to have on your iPad? So send all that feedback to iPadpossibilities@gmail.com and 209-542-iPad, and I'd really appreciate it. And just closing out this show, I'd like to just mention the different ways you can support this show. First off, monetarily, you can support this show by purchasing the iPad Possibilities podcast app, found in the iTunes App Store for $2.99. And with that app, you get the shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday instead of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And you also get special video episodes of this podcast. And that's all part of the podcast app in the App Store for $2.99. Next, you could, secondly, to support this show, you can become a member of the iPad Possibilities Premium Podcast for only $2 a month. And what you get with that membership is you get the premium version of the show. So you get the shows on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just like the podcast app, but now it's freed out of that application, available to you on any device, any computer, and that's available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now. You'll also receive special video episodes only available as a premium member, not available in podcast app or anywhere else. You'll receive special member-only audio episodes as well. So you get extra bonus episodes not available in the podcast app either, and you'll receive HD versions of the video shows you receive in the podcast app. We'll also have special giveaways and promotions available as a premium member, and you'll have a couple of other different things that come up by being a premium member that you don't get anywhere else. So it's only $2 a month to become a member. Just go to thepossibilitiesnetwork.com and just go to the iPad Possibilities Premium page, scroll down, enter your desired username and password, and PayPal will take care of the rest to do the $2 a month subscription to the iPad Possibilities Premium Podcast. So that's one of the greatest ways you can support the show. You can also, as you know, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate the show, and review the show there to support the show as well. So that wraps up this episode of the iPad Possibilities Podcast. We will return, or I will return, I guess, for the Friday-Saturday show with this week's Weekly Thought episode. Until then, this is Tim Chatton of the iPad Possibilities Podcast.